Alexei Alexandrovich Karenin, the husband of Anna Arkadyevna Karenina, stands as one of the most intellectually and morally complex characters in Leo Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. A senior government official known for his restraint, dignity, and devotion to order, Karenin represents the rational, bureaucratic world that contrasts sharply with the emotional chaos surrounding Anna and Vronsky. Although often portrayed as cold and unloving, Karenin emerges as a profoundly human figure, a man imprisoned by the very ideals he believes in. Role in the narrative. At the beginning of the novel, Karenin appears as a man entirely defined by his public position. He is a successful statesman, respected for his intelligence, composure, and reliability. His life revolves around routine, duty, and appearances. His marriage to Anna, while outwardly stable, is devoid of intimacy. He expects affection to manifest through obedience and decorum rather than through passion or mutual understanding. When Anna begins her affair with Vronsky, Karenin's initial reaction is not one of jealousy or rage but of disbelief and pragmatic concern. He sees her infidelity as a moral failing to be managed, not an emotional wound to be felt. His instinct is to preserve his dignity and social image rather than confront his pain. This response underscores his defining characteristic, a prioritization of external form over inner truth. To Karenin, what matters is not what happens in private but what appears correct in public. He tries to reason with Anna about her love for Vronsky, treating the matter as an error of judgment rather than a spiritual crisis. However, Tolstoy complicates this seemingly emotionless facade. When Anna nearly dies giving birth to Vronsky's child, Karenin experiences a sudden awakening of compassion. Standing at her bedside, he forgives both Anna and Vronsky, moved by genuine Christian pity. In this moment, Tolstoy reveals Karenin's capacity for moral greatness, his ability to transcend pride and resentment. Yet this moral triumph is fragile. By the end of the novel, Karenin's life is defined by isolation. Anna's death leaves him not vindicated but broken. He becomes a kind of living ghost, caring for Anna's daughter by Vronsky, but incapable of joy or renewal. His tragedy is not that he loses his wife but that he never truly possessed the capacity to love her freely. Symbolic significance. Symbolically, Karenin personifies the machine-like quality of modern life in 19th century Russia. His speech is filled with bureaucratic phrases, his gestures are measured, and his existence is defined by adherence to rules and appearances. He operates, as Tolstoy suggests, according to a clockwork of propriety. In this sense, Karenin is a reflection of the mechanization of the human spirit in a society obsessed with prestige and order. His tragedy is the inability to bridge the gap between the mechanical and the human, the public and the private, the lawful and the loving. Karenin's religiosity also carries symbolic weight. His turn to faith after Anna's illness is less a spiritual awakening than an escape from emotional pain. Guided by Countess Lydia, he adopts a sentimental and self-serving piety that reinforces his sense of superiority rather than humility. He becomes a symbol of the moral hypocrisy that Tolstoy saw as pervasive in Russian high society, a system that preaches virtue while suffocating the human heart. At the same time, Karenin also symbolizes forgiveness and moral endurance. His act of forgiveness at Anna's deathbed is one of the most luminous moments in the novel. For a brief instant, he transcends his ego and embodies Tolstoy's Christian ideal of compassion. Yet the fleeting nature of this moment underscores the difficulty of sustaining genuine goodness in a world governed by pride and appearance. Broader implications. Karenin's character carries broader philosophical and social implications within Tolstoy's vision of the world. On a social level, he represents the moral rigidity of the Russian aristocracy, an order more concerned with decorum than with truth. His behavior exposes the deep hypocrisy of a society that condemns Anna's passion while tolerating infidelity among men like Stiva Oblonsky. Through Karenin, Tolstoy critiques a world where moral laws are applied unevenly and where human feelings are subordinated to social convenience. On a psychological level, Karenin embodies the dangers of living without emotional authenticity. He has spent so long suppressing his natural impulses that when genuine feeling arises, whether anger, love, or compassion, he is unable to sustain it. His life illustrates the psychological cost of self-control taken to an extreme. From a moral standpoint, Karenin's tragedy invites reflection on the limits of reason. Tolstoy was deeply suspicious of intellectualism divorced from faith and feeling, and Karenin exemplifies this danger. His intelligence and rationality make him successful in politics but powerless in love. His failure is not due to a lack of virtue but to the imbalance between his head and his heart. On a broader, almost metaphysical level, Karenin's story reflects Tolstoy's exploration of human imperfection. Each of the novel's main characters, Anna, Vronsky, Levin, and Karenin, embodies a different aspect of the human search for meaning. Anna seeks fulfillment through emotion, Vronsky through passion, Levin through faith, and Karenin through duty. Each path is flawed in isolation, and only Levin's synthesis of moral and emotional integrity offers redemption. Karenin's failure thus serves as a moral counterpoint to Levin's success. He shows what happens when life is governed solely by intellect and convention, without the warmth of love or spiritual sincerity. Conclusion. Alexei Alexandrovich Karenin stands as one of Tolstoy's most nuanced creations, a man who, in his pursuit of moral order, loses touch with the essence of humanity. Through him, Tolstoy explores the limits of duty, the sterility of formality, and the tragedy of emotional repression. Karenin is not a villain but a victim of his own principles, trapped in a world that prizes propriety over truth. His coldness conceals a deep vulnerability. His pride masks a longing for meaning that his rational mind cannot satisfy. Ultimately, Karenin's story serves as a moral mirror to the novel's central themes. If Anna's downfall reveals the perils of passion without restraint, Karenin's life reveals the equal danger of reason without compassion. In his rigidity, he loses not only his wife but also his humanity. And yet, in his fleeting moment of forgiveness, Tolstoy grants him a glimmer of grace, a momentary vision of the love that could have saved him. Karenin's tragedy, like that of all Tolstoy's characters, lies in the universal human struggle to reconcile duty and desire, law and love, intellect and soul.